So if somebody's kind of floundering all over the place and you can see that they're going through all kinds of inner turmoil, you know that it's because they have a need in there, and maybe they are not honouring that need within themselves. So maybe they are not identifying and seeing that need within themselves, and therefore they're not expressing it clearly, and therefore they're just floundering around trying to get that need met, or because they're not really seeing it and honouring it, that they may be betraying their own need and trying to meet you, or getting angry with you because they feel like that need isn't being honoured, even though they haven't fully acknowledged it themselves. So you can help them with that, and that also helps you to then not react to them, because you see that there are needs here. You have your needs, they have their needs, and those needs just need to be seen and valued by each of you for themselves. And then you can see whether those needs can be met between you in some kind of arrangement or solution. So you can then help them and say, okay, without making any assumptions, without projecting anything onto them, you can just say, do you think perhaps you could just take a moment and just feel into your heart as to what the need is that you have? Instead of us having this conversation anymore, let's just stop and just feel what it is that we really need. Or you can help them a little bit, and you can say, okay, if they're projecting all this stuff at you, you can then say, okay, so I'm just trying to find what the need is underneath, and maybe I'm just going to offer some suggestions. Like, is it that you're needing to be heard? Is it that you're needing respect in this way? Another thing you can do is to not make any assumptions, because that can be dangerous ground, or not to give them anything, but simply to respond on that level. So even though they may be having this big reaction, you can sense intuitively that they, let's take it into a different dimension. Let's say this is your family member. Let's say this is like your parent who's having a big reaction because you're about to leave your work to start your own business, and so your parents are flying off the handle and getting really upset and having a big reaction. So you could react in turn to their reaction, because it's unreasonable that they're reacting in this way and not supporting you. You could also see what the need is underneath. That's sponsoring that reaction, even though they're not great at communicating it because they don't have that level of awareness. But sponsoring that reaction is their need for you to be safe. Is that they love you and they care about you and they want you to be safe, and they're afraid because of their own limitations in terms of their beliefs and their model of the universe and how the world works. They're afraid for you. So rather than responding to the energy that is coming at you, which is their lack of communication, you can instead respond directly to that need and say, thank you for caring. I understand that you love me and you're just afraid that I'm making a mistake. You're afraid that, that I could become financially insecure. So thank you for caring that much. But it's okay. I've got it figured out and this feels like the right thing for me, or whatever. So, yeah. So we get the message that, identifying what our needs are and our boundaries and responding to that in other people can just rule out a whole load of unnecessary suffering and conflict.